There is an ancient Celtic axiom that says good people drink good beer, which is true then as now. Just look around any public bar room and you will quickly see bad people drink bad beer. Think about it. The legendary gonzo journalist Hunter S. Thompson wrote that toast for Flying Dog in 1995 for the launch of our first Beer with Ralph Steadman label. But the question I get asked most often is, where does the name Flying Dog come from? In 1983, George Stranahan decided to take a group of 18 innocent people and climb K2. George Stranahan has a PhD in physics. He founded 3 schools, all of which are in existence today. He's a professional photographer, a writer. His grandfather invented the Champion spark plug, and he is the heir to the Champion spark plug fortune. So in 1983, at the age of 52, George sets off to climb K2. They land in Rawalpindi, Pakistan, and find a Sherpa guide that agrees to guide them up to the base camp. They cross the Braldu Gorge, the Baltoro Glacier. On day 17, they run out of alcohol, but George, being the true adventurous spirit that he is, so this is no reason to cancel this great trip. We're pressing on. 32 days later, they make it back to Rawalpindi, Pakistan. They're staying at the Flashman Hotel, named after the great comic book, the British comic book explorer, George Flashman. They're oxygen deprived, alcohol deprived. All they want is a drink, but much to George's dismay, they find out that it's a Muslim country and a dry country. So he has to find an attorney, sign an affidavit that he's a Christian and his father's a Christian. They didn't care what his mother was. They get a drink from the bar, and they're sitting back in Gaylord Gwennon's room, and he was with Lester Thoreau, the famous economist. And above the fireplace was a painting, a real oil painting, not some velvet paint-by-number thing. And it's a dog that's coming off the ground in some twisted fashion you couldn't possibly imagine. Its 4 legs in front, its ears pushed back, its hind legs underneath, and it's almost in a Superman pose. And it just captured his imagination. They couldn't figure out what it was. Their best guess was that a local artist misinterpreted the concept of bird dog. The British had inhabited Pakistan and India during the Raj, and they must have heard of bird dogs, and some local artists figured that there must be dogs in England that can fly. So they named the painting the Flying Dog. The first time in the English language those 2 words were put together in a phrase. George gets back to his ranch in Woody Creek, Colorado, and the first thing he does is renames his ranch the Flying Dog Ranch. Prior to that, it was the Lower Collins Creek Coyote Preserve. So this was a huge improvement. Then he decided to open a brew pub in Aspen in 1990, and of course it had to be the Flying Dog Brew Pub. And we eventually formed a brewery in 1994 in Denver, and that was separate from the brew pub. We brewed beer in Denver, Colorado at that brewery. It was the old Silver State Laundry for 5 years. Its claim to fame was that it was the only laundry in the late 1800s that could properly clean the dresses of the ladies who worked at the saloons on Lawrence and Larimer Street. So we thought that was a great history. We loved the building. We moved to a second brewery in 2000, literally across the street. But by 2003, we were bursting at the seams, and for a variety of reasons, our growth was East Coast. We were looking for capacity. We bought the Frederick Brewing Company in April of 2006, and in December of 2007, moved all production to Frederick, Maryland. In 1995, Hunter S. Thompson, a lifelong friend of George Stranahan, lifelong friend of the brewery, introduced us to Ralph Steadman. And Ralph Steadman began doing original art for all of our labels beginning in 1995. We brew beer as liquid art, and we wanted to have original art on the bottle as well.